You know, it's kind of amazing when you stop and think about it, just how much smartphones and social media are woven into, well, everything, especially for young people. It feels like it's 24 by 7.
Oh, absolutely. It's constant.
And honestly, it's not just Gen Z, is it? I think these things are shaping all of us in ways we're maybe only starting to really understand.
That's true.
They came along promising connection, instant everything. But maybe there's a downside we didn't quite see coming. Could they actually be making us, well, making a whole generation more anxious?
It's a heavy question.
It is. And today on the Deep Dive, we're actually going to dig into that. We're looking at some really compelling ideas from a conversation on What Now with Trevor Noah. Specifically, his episode from May 15th, 2025, called The Anxious Generation.
Right, and that featured Jonathan Haidt, who's a very well-regarded social psychologist. He wrote the book, The Anxious Generation. So our goal here is really to pull out the key insights from that discussion. What's the impact of all this digital tech? And maybe more importantly, what can we actually do about it?
Yeah, because Haidt makes a pretty bold claim, doesn't he? He basically says smartphones and social media are actively harming Gen Z.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it ripples out, it affects all of us. So that's what we're exploring, the how, the why, and crucially, the what next. What are the solutions he offers?
Let's get into it.
Okay, so Haidt uses this phrase, significant harm, especially about Gen Z. It sounds serious and maybe a bit counterintuitive. These things are meant to connect us.
Right.
So what does he mean by harm? Is it just kids spending too much time looking at screens? Or is there something deeper going on?
Yeah, that's really the core of his argument. It's not just about distraction, though that's part of it, sure.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally about replacement.
Replacement. What's being replaced?
Crucial developmental experiences. The messy real-world stuff. Unsupervised play, learning to deal with awkward social moments face-to-face, figuring things out on your own, even just being bored sometimes. All those things that, well, build resilient, independent people. Haidt argues that the digital world is increasingly pushing those experiences out. It disrupts things like learning patience, navigating social risk, developing that inner quiet needed for reflection.
So it's the opportunity cost, almost. What kids aren't doing because they're glued to their phones. That switch from like an analog childhood to a digital one.
Exactly. That's the heart of it.
And you mentioned earlier, and Haidt stresses this too, it's not just Gen Z. It really does touch all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know I catch myself endlessly scrolling sometimes and maybe feeling more disconnected than connected, ironically.
We've all been there.
Yeah. So as you're listening, maybe think about your own relationship with this tech. Does any of this resonate? That comparison trap, the curated perfection online, maybe defaulting to texting instead of calling.
So
widespread, right?
It really is. And Haidt says we need to face that.
Okay, so we've sort of sketched out the problem, and it can feel, well, a bit daunting.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
But the good news is, Haidt doesn't just leave it there. He offers some concrete steps, things you can think about for your own life or for the young people you know.
Right, practical ideas.
What's the first one he really focuses on?
One big one is claiming back third spaces.
Third spaces. Okay, what exactly does that mean?
It sounds a bit academic, but it's simple, really. It's any way that isn't home, your first space, or work, or school, your second space.
Oh, okay.
So think community centers, parks, libraries, maybe just a regular hangout spot where people gather. Haidt argues that bringing these back, making them vibrant again, is vital.
Why are they so important?
Because they're environments for real-world, unscripted interaction. Especially for kids and teens, it's where they learn social skills organically, meet different people, feel part of a community in a physical way. It's about the importance of actual places for our mental health.
Right. You can't replicate that online. Those chance encounters, learning social cues without an emoji.
Exactly. It's where genuine social growth happens outside of structured activities or, the curated online world.
That makes a lot of sense, letting real life happen. And building on that, Haidt has another really interesting concept he champions, anti-fragility. I feel like I've heard that term, but maybe not in this context. Can you break that down? How's it different from just being, say, resilient?
Yeah, it's a concept from Nassim Taleb that Haidt uses really effectively here. So resilience is bouncing back, right? You get knocked down, you get up again.
Okay.
Anti-fragility is, well, it's more than that. It means you actually get stronger from stress, from challenges, from randomness. Like your immune system exposure to germs makes it stronger, not weaker.
Ah, I see. So not just surviving stress, but thriving because of it.
Exactly. So Haidt asks, how do our digital lives, which often try to smooth out all the bumps and offer instant comfort, how do they potentially hinder the development of that anti-fragile strength?
That's a good question. Because if you're always protected, always curated, maybe you don't build those muscles.
Precisely. If every awkward conversation can be avoided with a text, or every differing opinion online gets deleted or blocked instantly,
You miss the chance to learn to handle it.
you miss the chance. You miss experiencing that little bit of discomfort, figuring out how to respond, or just learning to tolerate minor social friction. Haidt calls these the necessary bumps and bruises of life. They build that anti-fragility.
So it's about letting kids, and maybe ourselves, experience a bit more of that real-world messiness.
Yeah, exactly. Avoiding constant digital mediation allows for developing coping skills, character, problem solving, all that stuff that comes from navigating the unpredictable. It's about dealing with boredom, figuring things out independently instead of immediately Googling or asking an AI.
It all connects, doesn't it? Which brings us to Haidt's last recommendation, which feels so simple but kind of powerful.
Which one is that?
Just maybe letting your kid go take a walk.
Yeah. Seems almost trivial, doesn't it?
But it ties right into anti-fragility and reclaiming real-world independence, doesn't it? Getting outside, away from the screen, allowing for just unstructured time, exploration, maybe even a little boredom.
Absolutely. It fosters self-reliance, curiosity, maybe even that quiet reflection time that's so easily crowded out by digital noise.
So if we put these three solutions together, reclaiming third spaces, championing anti-fragility, and encouraging simple independence like taking a walk.
Yeah, Haidt's basically suggesting a way to push back against the negative impacts of an overly digital upbringing. It's about re-emphasizing independent exploration, real-world social skills, and building that inner resilience by not shielding kids from every single challenge.
It really makes you think about societal norms, doesn't it? How do we make sure these opportunities, unstructured play, real interaction, independence, are actually available and encouraged?
That's the big question. How do we value what builds strength, even if it's not always the easiest or most convenient path compared to the digital default?
Okay, so just to quickly recap the core ideas from Jonathan Haidt via Trevor Noah's podcast. We talked about the real harm smartphones and social media can cause, not just for Gen Z, but all of us, by replacing those essential real-world experiences.
Right.
And then we looked at his solutions, getting back to third spaces for that unscripted social connection, building anti-fragility by embracing life's bumps and encouraging simple, independent exploration.
And what's so striking is how these are fundamental human needs, not fancy tech fixes. It's about bringing back basics that have been kind of eroded.
Yeah.
These are really practical things to think about for ourselves and for society as we navigate this digital age. It reminds us that maybe the best answers are rooted in, fundamental human experience.
Absolutely. So a final thought for you listening. Thinking about Haidt's ideas, what's maybe one third space you could check out this week? A library, a park, a local cafe, just experience that different kind of interaction. Or maybe, what's one tiny step you could take towards fostering a bit more anti-fragility? Could you tackle a small challenge head-on instead of avoiding it? Or let your kid experience a little more independence? Just imagine if we all took one small step. What could that collective shift look like?